In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to process our images for newsprint. We'll make exposure corrections, dodge and burn, sharpen the image, and convert it to CMYK for press. We're going to start by opening a Camera Raw file and processing it normally. I'm going to click on the auto and see how that looks. I think it's a little too dark now. I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit, but what I really need to pay attention to is to make sure this image has lots of contrast for print. So I'm going to take this, depending on my image, and make my contrast anywhere from 10 to 25. I'm going to take this up to 20, and I'm going to hit Open Image. The first thing I want to do is any dodges and burns that I may need to do. In this image, I think the three firefighters can be lightened up a little bit. I'm going to get the Dodge tool by pushing the keys Shift and O. I'm going to check that midtones are selected, and that my exposure is about 10%. I'm using a large, soft-edged brush here, and working in circles. I'm going to lighten these firefighters up a little bit. Now once I've done that, and my image is good for the web, I can save this as a JPEG and put it on the web. But what we're going to do is go through the steps to make this ready for print. Next, we're going to use curves to brighten this image up so that it's ready for newsprint. To do that, we can go up to the File menu, go to Image, Adjustments, and select Curves. Or we can hit Command-M on our keyboard to pull up the window. I'm going to start by clicking on the line right in the middle of the curves, and I'm just going to pull it up and brighten this image up about 20%. I do want to keep the detail in my black, so I'm going to come down along the curve line towards the dark area, and I'm just going to darken that stuff back down a tiny little bit. And then I'm going to hit OK. We need to switch this image from RGB, which you can see up over here. It's in RGB mode, 8-bit color, and we need to convert that to CMYK, which is what is used by a press. That stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and the K is black. All web presses that print on newsprint use those four colors mixed together to make all the colors that they can print. So we're going to click on the Edit menu, scroll down to Convert to Profile. It's going to pull up a dialog box, and where the destination space is listed, we need to change that profile, if it's not already selected, to US Web Coded Swap 2. Hit OK. You can see that the image is now in CMYK mode based on the profile at the top. We're going to use the Unsharp Mask tool to sharpen this image up significantly for newsprint. Since the ink has a tendency to bleed when it hits the page, you actually need to do this way beyond what you would do to print on a laser printer. To get to the Unsharp Mask tool, there is no keyboard shortcut. We're going to have to go up to the Filter menu, scroll down to Sharpen, and go to the Unsharp Mask. Now, depending on your camera and the resolution of your image, these settings may change, but generally it's going to be between 1 and 200% for the amount. The radius will probably be somewhere between 2 and 5 pixels, and I always set my threshold to 5. That does some smoothing out. So we'll start by taking this back down. You can see this image would look fine on the web, but we really want to pump up that sharpness so that it'll print nice on newsprint. So we're going to use this slider. Once we have our amount and our threshold set, we'll use the radius slider to take this up until it looks a little bit overdone in terms of sharpening. I think this is probably too far, so I'm going to bring it back down, probably right around 3.4 or 3.2, somewhere in that range. And then we hit OK, and now our image is sharpened for press. And the last thing we're going to do is to add some contrast to just the black plate. To do that, we come over here to Channels. We are going to click on the black plate, and we're going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Brightness Contrast, and we're going to add about 20. Again, just like the other contrast, between 10 and 20. We're going to add 20 to this one. Hit OK, and what that's done is it's taken a lot of the black out of the whites and the highlights so that they won't end up muddy. Come back over to the channels, click the box next to CMYK, and save this file, and you're ready to send it to press. As an addendum, there is a way to make your own set of keyboard shortcuts that will automate the conversion from RGB to CMYK. Depending on how many images you're switching from RGB to CMYK during publication, this can save you some time. To do this, we're going to create our own custom action. So we're going to come over onto the right-hand side of Photoshop, and we are going to click on the New Action button. and we're going to call this CMYK. We're going to save it to the default actions, and we're going to assign some function keys to it. So I already have F1 and command assigned to my own shortcut for this. So for this demonstration, it'll automatically click the shift and the command key. But you can make your own. Just make sure you're not conflicting with any of the other existing keyboard shortcuts in Photoshop. So once we've selected this, F1, shift, and command, if you push those keys, that will automatically convert to CMYK once this is recorded. So we hit record. We then go up to edit, scroll down to convert to profile. Make sure that our US web-coded swap version 2 is selected. Click OK. Once we've done that, let's double check up at the top where the file menu is to make sure we're in CMYK mode. And now we can hit the stop button on the record over here in actions. And it should be saved in there. So now you can see if I push the shift, command, and F1 key, it will convert it to the profile. And that should make it easier for you to get stuff ready for print.